Topic 6-7, changing to the form y equals mx plus b. This is actually called the y-intercept form of an equation. All right, notice the way these are looked. This is actually in what's called the standard form. That's a standard form of the equation. Both of them show to be lines. We need to remember that m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. I'll make that note. The slope and the y-intercept. Okay, the way I teach this is you want to make sure that y is alone by itself. You want it to look like this. So what you tell yourself is what is on this side of the equation to the left along with the y. And that needs to be moved to the other side of the equation. To make x go away, you subtract it. So now that you have y equals, and a common thing kids would do is call that a negative 3x. Don't ever combine a constant with a variable that has a coefficient. Coefficient understood as a negative 1. So if you want to write that as a negative 1x plus 3, now this would be something to be able to graph. Again, remembering the y-axis and the x-axis, where they're located. The 3 denotes where you start. The y-intercept is your b, and this is the b, and the negative 1 is the m. You don't actually have to put that, but just helping you make note. All right. This movement of m is the slope, which is the rise movement over the run movement. So in this case, you're going down a negative 1, but don't stop. It's over a positive 1. Down a negative 1, over a positive 1. Makes a negative slope. Negative slopes will slant in this direction. All right, looking at number 2. Make sure that you read this as 3x minus y equals a negative 6. But as you change the y to b alone, don't forget that it right now is understood to be a negative 1y. You're going to subtract the 3x on both sides of the equation. By doing so, you take away the 3's. Do not combine the negative 3 and the negative 6. It stays in this position, and I like to write it in the y-intercept form, where the slope x, the movement of x, is next to the equal sign. It would not be wrong to say negative 6 minus 3x on this side. But if you leave it in the y-intercept form, this is an easier to do the division of a negative 1. So I'm dividing away the negative 1 so that y is always positive. You want to leave it to graph in a positive form. Negative 3 divided by negative 1 is a positive 3. And negative 6 divided by a negative 1 is a positive 6. So although this looked as if it was going to be a negative slope, it ends up being positive. 3, 4, 5, 6. And from there I'm going to walk up 3 over 1. I've run out of room, so the same movement is walking down negative 3 over negative 1. Just remember that. A 3 over 1 is the same thing as negative 3 over negative 1. So just remember your integer rules. Division of 2 negatives is positive. Okay, again, more practice. A negative 3y is equal to a negative 2x minus 9. The division would be to divide 3 on across. I didn't show the step here, but that's subtracting a 2x on both sides. This cleans up to a positive y, positive 2/3 x, positive 3. Graphing this, starting at the 3, your b, you're starting at the 3. From that, you're going to make this movement up 2 over 3. Up 2 over 3. Okay, a few more examples. Number 4. This one again is similar to one, if we, let's just put up here the y equals the mx plus b. If you'll look closely, this doesn't have a b, so we could even put it there if you wanted to. So that the only thing to get this in y-intercept form is to actually do the division of 3. So this ends up being y equals 2x plus 0. So you're still starting at 0, 0. There's your y-intercept. You're moving up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. All right. In this case, it says which ordered pairs are a solution of each equation. In this, you can take every example that is given to you as your choices and just put them in a coordinate point, x and y, the -7. So we could do each example. 2 times a -7 minus 5 times a -3. Would this operation give us 1? You got to remember your order of operation. This would be a -14, and then you multiply a negative times a negative actually gives you a positive 15. Is this 1? Yes, checks out. So which ordered pairs are solutions could be more than one choice. So this one is a choice. So I would say, instead of me doing every single one like this, go through and plug this one in for x, plug 3 in for y, plug 2 in for x, plug 1 in for y, and check to see if any more of these, and then ask your teacher if that's correct. Do the same thing on your notes for number 6, and again, ask your teacher if your choices that you've chosen were correct.